All right. So, as I've said before, many times, when I record these, I'm usually driving. Majority of the new ones, I am driving. Some of the older ones I wasn't. Actually, a lot of the older ones I wasn't. When I first started this T4Cast series, I used to do them laying on my couch, just kind of talking to myself. I'd set my phone up, lay on my couch, and just talk. And then some of them were driving, but in a different context. We used to have a vendor at my job that I'd go to do pickups or drop-offs, and that was roughly an hour round trip. So, I'd record on the way down, stop to do my pickup or drop-off, and then pick up where I left off on my way back. Now, it's just me driving home from work at my second job, which just happens to be roughly 45 minutes away. So, it's just one shot, one take, me just talking to myself the whole ride home. Anyways, because these are done while I'm driving, relatively speaking, they are a stream of consciousness. Like, obviously, I don't have notes or anything planned that I'm looking at and, I want to say this. And I definitely don't have a script. I can't be reading while I'm driving. I mean, geez. Typically, when I'm driving, it's dark anyways. Especially as the year goes on. It gets dark out earlier and earlier. Especially when daylight savings or whatever heck it's called happens. That shoots the timeline right up. So, even if I wanted to be reckless and try to read while driving, it's just going to be so difficult trying to do that in the dark. I mean, yeah, there's the light I can turn on in my car, but that just makes glares and, just adds to what I'm saying about things being dangerous / difficult. Anyhow, so even though this is kind of like a stream of consciousness, I still do put enough thought and effort into what I want to talk about before I begin recording. It's not like I just get in my car and I'm like, oh, I think I'll talk about this. No, I usually start thinking about it a day before when I know that I'll be able to record. I start thinking about a topic, and sometimes I get a topic and I'll do a dry run, meaning I'll think about, well, what could I say? Is there enough content here to talk about, or is this going to be 10 minutes and then I'm done? Because if it's 10 minutes and done, I'm I might as well just make it a TikTok. If I don't have too much to say, I can't really make it a long form thing like these are supposed to be. So I'll do dry runs, and then, I try to remember what I say, not so I can recite it back verbatim, oh, good thing I remembered that, but, try to remember just so I have an idea of topics when I am recording. That way then I can be I said this. I think, I said this. And it kind of comes back to me, you know what I mean? Because I almost feel like I'm under pressure when I'm actually recording. When I'm just talking to myself, planning the things out loud, it's just me hanging out. I'm either in my room just thinking, or I'm in my office at work just thinking. And I don't feel like there's any pressure. But once I put this phone on record and I'm talking, I just feel like there's so much pressure then, because now it's it's serious now. Everything I'm saying is being recorded. So I like to try and do these trial runs so then I have a more successful recording. And then anyways, like I said, sometimes they're not long enough, so I'll change the topic. Then sometimes I have a whole bunch of topics, and I'm oh man, I can only pick one. I might have 3. And I'm I only have 2 recordings I can do this week, so which 2 am I going to pick? So, there's that too. And then over time, maybe the 3rd one I didn't pick, I'm just it don't matter that much. I start to think about it more, and I'm it's a stupid topic. It don't matter. So anyways, with all that said, I did have an idea for what I wanted to talk about today. Today is actually Wednesday that I'm recording this, and I've been thinking about recording what I originally wanted to record since, I think, Monday. Might have even been before Monday. Actually it was before Monday that I thought of it. And then when Monday came, I changed it last minute to a different idea just because, I don't know why. I think it was just because it was a random idea that I was well, I'll forget this if I don't talk about it now. where the topic I did want to talk about, I've been thinking about for a while, so I know I'm not going to forget it. So anyways, it should have been today, but something else happened that just I wanted to talk about instead. It's kind of a lot more pressing. It's more time sensitive, relatively speaking. So yeah, it kind of won out. So original plan is pushed back yet again. Regardless. So here's the situation. Here's what I want to talk about. So over the weekend, it was just Labor Day weekend. So, we had 3-day weekend. But for me, I don't. I work all day, every day of Labor Day weekend. And that includes Friday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I'm working all day. And this is my schedule. Saturday and Sunday, I'm working from 8 a.m. until about 10:15 p.m. Friday, I'm working from 11 a.m. to about 10:15 p.m. And Monday, I work from 8 a.m. until 7:15 p.m. Monday's a little bit earlier of a day. But yeah, so like I said, I'm working all weekend. And the reason for this is because I work at a local fair. There's always a fair that's put on. I'm sure it's like this in a lot of places. It's not just in my neck of the woods, but they have fairs, and one of the fairs is over Labor Day weekend, and I recently picked it up about, 4 years. I think this was my 4th year doing it. So yeah, at first it sucked, my first year, because I was like, man, I always looked forward to Labor Day to have a day off from work. And then here I was working instead, and I'm just like, ugh, this is terrible. I don't want to work. I want to be home relaxing. But, I'm used to it now. It's no big deal. I'm used to, it's that time. Got to go to work the whole weekend. And it's not too bad either. It's kind of fun. You get to walk around the fair for free. When we get out, the fair's still open for like another hour and a half or so you could walk around after. I mean, I don't really want to, because obviously, A, I have to come back in early the next morning, so I want to get home, not be dicking around. And B, sometimes my feet kind of hurt, so I just really don't want to be walking. I want to get home and relax. But still, there's that potential that you could walk around for like an hour and a half on all 4 days even. You could see a lot of the fair. That's 6 hours total that you could spend walking around. And you get breaks throughout the day, so you can go walk around and look at stuff. We had one person that I was working with, so there's at the fair that I go to, they have a concert. There's a different band. It's typically not real bands. It's either A, it is real, but it's washed up, somebody who hasn't really done anything in the past 15 years, or it's tribute bands, but still, there's a band. And this year, there was a country person. I don't really know her, Gretchen Wilson, I guess. And, so one of the people was a fan of her that I was working with, and they wanted to go to the free concert. They didn't stay very long. I think they only listened to like 2 songs or something, but still. So, we can partake in that as well and see a free concert. But anyways, that's a really long story for no reason. All I'm trying to say is, while I was at work on Monday, I ended up getting a call from my mom. And the call was because she was at my place, and she was there because her cats are there. So the reason that her cats live at my house is because her place doesn't really have a situation that's practical enough for the cats right now. She is working on it, but the basement is just a bulkhead, and my mom doesn't really want to deal with that because she'd have to go outside all the time. She wants a basement door, not a bulkhead only. That's kind of annoying. Every time she has to feed the cats or whatever, she's got to go outside and go down through the bulkhead. It's just weird. And she doesn't want them in the house just because, I don't know. I actually don't know. That's a good question. I guess it's just from habit. Maybe she's just used to it. All along growing up, we've had cats, but they always lived in the basement because my dad was extremely allergic to them. So, I mean, it was to the point that it was ridiculous. I mean, he used to. There was one time that I had. So I used to bring one of the cats up in my room almost every night. Like anyone, it would rotate. I'll take you upstairs. I'll take you upstairs. And one of them liked to scurry off and run away, be a little butthole and try to explore. Well, she scurried off and ran downstairs into their bedroom and laid on my dad's pillow. Now, this was probably, 6 p.m. that this happened. Now, later, when he gets home and all this, showered, has his dinner, they watch TV, and then they go to bed. It's probably maybe 10:30, 11 o'clock at this point now. And, almost immediately, his allergies started flaring up, and he knew it. He says, was there a cat in here or something? Did somebody have a cat? in the house, and it was like, yeah, like 5 hours ago. I didn't know it would still affect you. I mean, in a way, my bad. Not really. It's not my fault. The cat's annoying and won't stay. But anyway, so yeah, I think that's also it. It's just kind of habit to not have the cats around the house. So anyways, they're at my place for now. She's working on, she has a shed, but there's no windows and stuff. And so in summer, like it's been, it gets really hot in there. And so we're assuming that transitorily in winter, it'll get really cold in there. So she's working on doing something about that to fix the situation so it is a lot more habitable for the cats. And then they can go live in there. So in the meantime, they're just at my place. Anyway, so she was there, like she does, to take care of them, to feed them, to check their water, to hang out with them a little bit and pet them. For the most part, they're outside, but she still checks the litter box just in case. And yeah, so anyways, I'm working, so she's just there, whatever, I'm not worried about it. But then she ends up texting me and then turns it into a call, and I'm thinking, I don't really have time for a call, dang it, I'm technically supposed to be working right now. But yeah, it's to tell me that the neighbors had chopped up the hedge. So first off, when she tells me that the neighbors chopped up my hedge, like I think she said your hedge, meaning, you know, my hedge, your hedge from her perspective. So the first thing I think is there's a big hedge that I have out front. When I bought the house, it was a lot smaller, but I've just been letting it grow, get it all big and tall, because I figure it's privacy. You know, the taller that thing is, the more my house is hidden, the more privacy I have. I can be outside and, you know, nobody really sees me or whatever. So at first I thought somebody chopped that up, and I was like, what? Why is somebody touching that? That is my hedge. Like, there's no dispute about it at all. You know what I mean? That is 100% my hedge. It's not, and I keep the thing nice and trim and tidy, so it's not like the town could have any say on, oh, well, it was getting in the way of the sidewalk, so that's why we chopped it back. No, I take care of it. It's very well groomed, manicured, whatever you want to say. And, yeah, so at first I thought that's what she meant, and I was like, what? Turns out there's the other hedge. I don't really think of that hedge, because what the other hedge is it is it's basically a driveway divider. It's goes, so my house and the neighbor's house, they're both apartment complexes. Well, they were. My house isn't an apartment complex anymore. I don't want tenants. I don't want any of that. It's my house, so it's just me. But it used to be apartment complexes, and the house next door also is. And for the most part, like, the yards are connected. The driveways are practically connected. It's just there's a hedge in the middle that kind of separates the yards. Well, that thing had gotten very big and full and fluffy and everything. It was probably 10, 11, somewhere around there, feet tall, very full. You couldn't see through it at all. It was nice and bushy and thick, and it offered privacy. Not only did it offer privacy, but it was just like a natural fence almost, because it was just so big. And so that's the hedge that they chopped down. The other side chopped down that hedge. Now the thing's probably, I don't know, just under 5 feet high now. It's like the same height as a car, basically. So I looked it up, and a car is 4'9". So that hedge is about 4'9" now, after being like 11 feet tall. They chopped off like 6 feet of the hedge. And so anyhow, even after I realized it was only, so to speak, that hedge and not my hedge, it was still annoying, because I liked that the hedge was getting big and bushy. I was maintaining it. I was trimming that one as well all the time, just like I trimmed the front one, keeping it looking good, you know, sweeping up its droppings, you know, when the leaves fall off or whatever, and all that. I mean, geez, I just put in a lot of work probably a couple of weeks ago to trim it up even. And then these dickheads come along and just chop it up. And what makes me more annoyed is nobody even said anything. Nobody tried to come over and consult with me. Nobody said, hey, do you have any feelings about this? I'm thinking of cutting this down, blah, blah, blah. You know, are you okay with this? Nope, nothing. Just go ahead and do it. Or I should say, just went ahead and did it. And yeah, and they cut a lot. Again, it'd be one thing if they cut a little bit. You know, let's say the thing was 11 feet tall before. Say they cut a 2 feet off. You Because, it was kind of getting a little wild at the top. It was getting a little shabby. The sticks, whatever you want to call them, the branches, I don't know. They were just getting all over the place. There was vines poking out of it at the top. There was like a little skinny tree growing. So fine, you trim the top just to make it look a little cleaner. Okay. But not cut the whole thing down, basically. So anyhow, when I heard this news, I immediately emailed the town zoning department because I don't really know what the property lines are. It's not something I've ever had to worry about yet until now. So I don't exactly know what the property lines are, but I need to know that because if any portion of that hedge is mine, then they're going to have some serious issues for just, destroying that thing without consulting with me at all. Obviously, if it's their hedge, there's nothing that can be done other than me just feeling a little annoyed that it's wide open now and I don't like it, and it would have been nice to at least have a courtesy like, hey, I'm going to cut this down just so you know. But, I guess there's nothing I can do. But yeah, if any portion of that hedge is mine, half of it or maybe all of it is somehow secretly on my property or whatever, yeah, I'm going to do whatever needs to be done for next steps. I don't really know what next steps would be. So I'm going to have to seek out a lawyer, not so much to hire him, but at least consult with him so I can understand what next steps are supposed to be. But yeah, I'm going to pursue something because this is ridiculous. The way I see it is, first off, that's basically vandalism. If any of that is on my yard, that's basically vandalism. Because vandalism, think about it, when kids are being dickheads out in public and they're vandalizing something, they're vandalizing with the idea that nobody's around to see them and tell them to stop. Nobody's going to catch them. They're going to do it, and then they're going to run off and get away with it. And so, yeah, this guy coming over to chop the hedges down while I'm not home and not saying anything prior to me or anything, that's kind of basically the definition of vandalism. I wasn't around to say anything, then it's obviously also destruction of property. If that hedge is mine and it was tall like that, if it was to get chopped down, then that means it's my duty to chop it down, not yours. Even if it's half my hedge, you can only chop the half of your hedge down. And then it would be up to me to chop the other half if I wanted it chopped off, which I didn't. So it's destruction of property. Then there is the potential of trespassing. I'm not super sure about this one, but there could be. It depends on how long his chainsaw blade is or whatever. Maybe the blade is pretty long and it clearly would be able to just go right through and chop the width of the hedge. But it could also be short. And then maybe, in order for him to cut on my side, he had to come over to my side to cut. He could have also just leaned over. You never know. It could be something as simple as that as well. But it could be that he came into my yard and then, there'd be trespassing. And then that just compounds on the other stuff because I didn't tell him to cut the hedge. So now why are you not only cutting the hedge that you don't have permission to cut, but you're doing it while trespassing into my yard? That's like a double, I don't want to say felony in the sense of what the word literally means, but just, for the purpose of talking about crime, that's a double felony. You know what I mean? And then the last thing, which unfortunately, legally speaking, holds no weight, but I feel like it's an invasion of my privacy. I know. A true invasion of my privacy would be like if he was, I don't know, creeping around in the yard, being a peeping Tom or something, like in Back to the Future. So, it's not truly an invasion of my privacy. Nobody's really being creepy and doing anything that's actually impeding on my personal satisfaction with being home, or however I want to phrase this. But at the same time, I feel like it's an invasion of privacy. That hedge was big and full, and it went the whole length of the driveway, and it really closed things off. You couldn't see the neighbors. They couldn't see me. I could be outside, and I felt comfortable, hey, nobody's spying on me. No one, not spying, but nobody can see what I'm doing. I can do my own thing in here in comfort. Now, it's wide open. Anybody can see. There's no privacy at all now. So granted, legally speaking, it won't stick, but personally, that's how I feel. So, yeah, and I don't understand why this guy didn't talk to me. Even if he did know the property lines, say the property lines are I mean, maybe he does know the property lines and the shrub is 100% his property. I don't know. I feel like it's not. And my daughter, it's funny, she said the same thing as me before I even said anything. Because here's the thing. First off, they have a chain link fence at the end of the driveway. It's only short. I don't know what the point of it even is in the first place. It's only like 1 or 2 sections long, I forget. But yeah, the driveway itself is probably, I don't know, 200 feet long total or something. Maybe 100 feet, not too, I don't know. It's long enough, but not like super long, you know. But, you know, I don't know what the point is of 2 sections of chain link fence. But anyways, when you look at it, the chain link fence is thoroughly on their side. Thoroughly on the opposite side, I should say, of the shrubs. Which means the shrubs would be fully on my side, I guess, since the fence is blocking them off. So if their chain link fence went all the way down the driveway, then that means the shrubs would be technically 100% on my side, which means it would make them my shrubs. So there's that. Now, it could also be that the chain link fence was set up there just because, you know, maybe half the shrub is mine and half is theirs, and it's just easier to put a fence on your side where it's easy to do rather than trying to put it in the middle of a shrub. But still, the second thing that makes me think that at least half of the shrub is mine is because when I look at the end of the driveway, both of our driveways are paved. Now, mine is way better than theirs. Theirs is all old and crumbly and seriously needs some work. It's not even a matter of seal coating. They just straight up need to be repaved. Like, it's falling apart. It's very faded. Like, tar is supposed to be blackish. Their tar is like a light gray. It's just really old and beat. Where mine's not perfect, but it's way better than that. But anyways, I was looking at the ends of that, and basically our driveways, the tar meets in the middle. So I'm like, if that's any indication as well, then that means up to that point where the tar went, that's my driveway, and up to the point where your tar went is your driveway. That's why it got paved. You wouldn't pave something that's not yours, you know, it doesn't make sense. It's kind of like on the other side. The other side, there's the sidewalk, and my driveway just goes right tangent to that. It's not like going into the sidewalk or anything. It's right tangent because then it's the town property. We're not going to pave the town's property. So anyhow, yeah, looking at that, I'm like, this also makes it look like half of this hedge must be mine based on this pavement job. So there's 2 things that make me think that a portion of the shrubs, at least, are mine. So anyways, it just makes me wonder, like, why did this guy just cut the shrubs then and not do his homework if it is mine? Why didn't you look it up first to make sure that you were in the clear, that you could just do whatever you wanted? I mean, from what I understand, I think he said something to my mom like, oh, well, because, like, I guess she got there and then he saw her and was like, oh, do you own this place? And she was like, no, my son does. And then he's like, oh, well, I hope you don't mind that I did this. And then after she was like, well, I'm sure he will mind. Did you talk to him about it before you did it? And then the guy was like, no, I did this, like, I don't know, 8 years ago, though, and I talked to some woman and she said that it was fine, so I just figured, you know, it was okay. And it's like, okay, if that's the case, that you talked to some woman, first off, you probably talked to a tenant that was living there, which, of course, the tenant's gonna say it's fine. They don't care. It's not their house. They don't hold any, like, I don't know, love, I guess, for the property. You know, it's just a place where they live. They could move at any moment, and they're not tied down to the property. Like, why would you even ask that person? Second off, they don't even live there anymore. So even if you got permission from some woman, apparently, it's not even like she's there to verify, oh yeah, 8 years ago I told him that it would be fine. Second off, he should have been talking to the landlords that were, you know, the owners of that house at the time, which conveniently live right across the street. Still do. Even though I own the house now, they still live right across the street. So I don't know who this girl is that you were talking to, but you should have been talking to one of them. And 3, even if you did talk to one of them and they said, yeah, that's fine, you can trim the hedge to however low you want it, it doesn't matter in today's day because it's not their house anymore. They don't have the say on what happens with that hedge. I do. It's my house now. it's just, I don't even know what to say. Like there's a tree at the end of my driveway, and it's a pretty good sized tree. I park under it, and the neighbors across the way park under it as well, and it offers us plenty of shade. It is a nice big tree. Keeps everything nice and shady and cool, especially in summer. It's very nice. You open your car and it's comfortable. Anyways, as far as what side it's on, I'm not sure, because the previous landlord used to talk about that tree, and he said, they want it to be cut because they think it's dangerous or whatever. I don't really know why they would say that, because it's a very sturdy tree. There's times like in winter we're having like crazy wind, and I'm like, oh man, I hope the branches don't break. And nope, it's fine. It's barely swaying. I'm like, wow, that is a sturdy tree. Or in reverse, it might be summer and the branches are swaying and they're going crazy. Like they're coming way down. I'm like, oh my God, these are going to break. Nope. It's just like a wicked flexible tree that's just like, I don't care, wind's wind, whatever, I'll make it through. But anyways, yeah, so they want to trim it, but then my former landlord was like, I'm not doing it because it's their tree. But then they don't do it because they claim it's my tree. But he's like, no, it's definitely theirs. Like they have some weird spat going on about whose tree it is. Each one's trying to get out of it. They want to tell the other one to trim it so that then they don't have to pay for it. But at the same time, neither one wants to pony up and pay for it. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't know whose tree it is still because of that. But as far as I'm concerned, I like having the tree there. Like I said, it's shade. It's again a little bit more privacy. Granted, it's not privacy on like the ground level, but since where I live in the house is upstairs, it gives me privacy in that way. Because the tree's in the way, so you really can't see in my window if I'm up there like at night and the light's on or whatever. Say I didn't close my blinds yet. You can't really see because the tree's in the way. All you see is the light. You won't really see detail. You won't see me or anything. So, But anyways, the landlord from the house across the way, he had talked to me before. He said he wanted to trim it up and just make it look a little bit better. And I said, well, that's fine if you want to trim it, but I don't want it cut down. I like having this tree. I like the shade it offers, especially in the summer. Winter, I guess it doesn't matter so much. One, there's probably no shade because it's just sticks. The leaves fall off. And two, I mean, what do I need shade for in winter? It's already cold. The car's not going to be hot. But he's spoken to me about a couple of times even. He still hasn't done it yet, but he's talked to me about it and said that, he wants to trim it up. And, we came up with an understanding. I said, yes, that's fine. You can trim it. Just don't cut it down. I like the shade, so trim it enough to give it a little fresh cut, but make sure I still have my shade and everything. So he was able to do it multiple times. I don't know why this guy next door couldn't do it. I don't know why he just took it upon himself to go to town. And then they have a shrub on the other side as well. But the other side, it's fine if they cut it because that's their shrub. It's like the shrub, and then it's kind of like a little bit of trees and woods and stuff right there. So yeah, go to town. Cut that one up if you want to. That is 100% your shrub. But this one that you did butcher is not your shrubs, potentially. I mean, it could be. Maybe whenever the zoning department finally gets back to me, they'll be like, yeah, that's the property line for you ends right at the edge of your driveway. And I'll be like, oh, dang it. Okay, well, that's good to know. Or you could be like, actually, your property lines are weird. They go right to the edge of their driveway. And I'll be like, oh, so that shrub is all mine. So this guy completely destroyed my property. All right, that's good to know. That would actually be the convenient scenario, though, if it was, because then it makes things so much easier. If it's 100% my shrub, it's so much easier. If it's 50-50, I can still win something, like if I took him to court or whatever, but it's a lot harder because we both have a say in it. Granted, he didn't communicate with me at all, but it's not as much of a criminal offense, you know what I mean? Because then it can be argued, well, he thought he was doing something good. He saw it needed to be trimmed, and so he just figured, I'll just do it. It shouldn't be a problem. Where if it's all on my side, then it's, no, mother effer, this is my shrub, and you destroyed it. You don't own any portion of this, so you shouldn't have done this, and yet you did. I don't know. As it currently stands, like I said, I'm still waiting on the zoning department to get back to me. I've also written a letter up to them, like a complaint letter, just to, not to them meaning the zoning department, but to the people that live in that house and what I've been able to look up online were the landlords. I wrote a letter to them. I say a letter, but it's big. It's like 7 pages long. All professionally done. You know, I don't write like an idiot. I'm not just like crying like, boo, you cut my hedge. I have it all points listed out and everything. It's all intelligently built. But anyways, yeah, so that's in the works. And then once I finally get the zoning information, then like I said, I can carry on from there and figure out what my next steps are. I mean, like I said, I don't really know what I could ask for, because like sometimes you might get like a monetary compensation for damage. Like if somebody completely destroyed a plant. Technically, the hedge isn't completely destroyed. It'll still be able to grow back. It's just the point of it that I'm frustrated with, and with how much he butchered it. So now it's just wide open. You know, there's no privacy at all. It's just wide open space between the two houses, and I do not like that. You know, I had a tenant on the first floor last year, I think it was last year, that went out and just took it upon himself to like hack up those tall shrubs, because we had talked about working on it to clean things up a little, because there's like, I don't want to call them weeds, but for a lack of a better word, there was weeds growing in there, and it just didn't look good, so we wanted to clean it up. So the plan was on the weekend we were going to do it intelligently with weed whackers and with a little bit of a team, so we could all be pitching in and making it look good. And then one Friday, he just goes and like weed whacks or whatever he did, the crap out of it, completely destroys everything, and it was just like, you serious right now? So I laid into him for that, like, don't ever do that. Don't ever do any yard work again, okay? The only yard work you're ever permitted to do is yard work that I'm with you, standing right there, monitoring you. Anything by yourself, don't worry about it. I'll handle it. Like, I was mad. My point is I was mad about that, and the level of destruction he did was nowhere near what it is now with those hedges being cut way down. So, you know, point is obviously I do care about the hedge. I don't know. I guess that's all I got. There's not much more to say. Even in my letter, I put, I don't expect a reply from you because there's nothing to talk about at this point. What's done's been done. I just want to voice my opinion, because I feel like if I don't say anything, then that means I'm okay with it. Like, you can destroy this, and I'm just like, yep, that's fine. And no, it's not fine. So that's why I wrote the letter. But yeah, I don't know. I'm waiting for the town as well. Town is taking forever. So I just need to know that, then I know what to do moving forward. That would be nice. One thing I'm thinking, though, is the irony. Like, maybe I could sue. I don't know. Sue him, and I don't know what I'd get for money. I'd have to have a lawyer. The lawyer would be able to come up with something to build the case with. But I was thinking, it'd be funny, you know, I sue him, and then I'm, like, able to, I don't know, get enough money to buy a fence or something. And I wouldn't put the fence there. I'd want the hedge there, but I could put the fence, like, in the backyard or something. And I'm like, wow, I got a free fence because these idiots wanted to destroy the hedge, and then I sued them, and now I got the money to buy a fence. Ain't that funny? But anyways, that is all I got for now. So I suppose, thanks for checking this out with me. And until next time, I said see ya.